Keep it up. Yep, keep it up.
Allez, Mini 9, PD Workman qui arrive en embuscade, qui arrive lancé, hein, beaucoup.
Attention pour le départ. 4, 3, 2, 1. Bon départ et bon vent à tous. Ça commence à l'usure.
La gauche, super départ de 837 terminal live, un américain qui fait aussi un super départ. Lignant aussi très bien placé.
We're a few hours into the start of the Mini Transat 2023. Let's see, we started this race at just after 1:30 in the afternoon, local time here in France, so that's +2 UTC. And it's been light and shifty winds this whole time. The start we had some decent breeze. Most of the boats started on port tack and went straight to the code 0 right away. I had a pretty decent start. Pin third, so left side of the starting line, coming in on port tack, and it was pretty good. I was probably only about 2 boat lengths below the starting line, which with a pretty long bowsprit, I think that was pretty. It wasn't, it was a pretty good start for having 90 boats on the line. Also, most of them all coming out on port like that. So I was pretty happy with the start initially, and then the boat just felt so slow, and within the next 30 minutes we kind of got shot out the back, so it was not a great way to start the race, after the initial starting sequence. The problem that I'm facing is my boat does not like to do really close reaching, almost sailing upwind with the code 0, whereas some of the other boats, they're clearly very good with that and have the combination of the boat design and the sails and all that kind of stuff. But my boat really struggles sailing in those close reaching conditions where you're almost going upwind. So kind of was a couple degrees lower than everyone else, keeping my speed up for a while, and then about 2 hours into the race, I ended up dropping the code 0 and just going straight with the jib. So right now we've been sailing upwind for the last hour and a half, and it's about 5.5, 6 knots of wind with 1 to 2 foot seas. We got some swells that are building. It's pretty challenging right now in this light air when it's only blowing 5.5 knots, and I'm fully loaded down with 80 liters of water, almost 2 weeks worth of food, a lot of safety equipment, a lot of spare parts. It's a lot of stuff on a 21-foot sailboat, and so trying to keep the speed up going on close haul right now is not easy. It's also pretty frustrating. It's tough. This is the conclusion of 3 years worth of work, and it's pretty frustrating being shot out the back right at the start. So I'm not happy with myself on that necessarily. Yeah, it's not the way I envisioned starting the race. I'm not giving up hope yet though. I'm still fighting hard. Not all is lost. We still have almost 1,300 miles on this leg, but the boat's just been feeling slow compared to some of the other boats around me, and I do not know what's going on right now. So I've been spending the last couple hours trying to figure it out. So I got one boat just off the port, one boat off the starboard, and no one else behind us. So yeah, not too happy about it. But that's part of the journey, part of the experience. I'm also here to share the experience with all of you. So just want you to see what's going on here. Right now it is about 16:20 in the afternoon, and I just switched my clock to UTC time, so it's going -2, so now it's 14:20. So from here on out, everything's going to be in UTC or Zulu time, just to keep it simple across the time changes, and because we have certain things like our daily radio check-ins if we're within range of the support boat, and then also our daily radio weather forecasts are all in UTC, so it's easier to just stay on one thing. But yeah, so that's basically what's going on. Already had 2 sandwiches from the boulangerie. Thank you, Jane, for picking those up. I started the race with a couple sandwiches just because I knew I wouldn't have time to make a meal this afternoon. The last 2 weeks leading up to this, I feel like we put so much effort in this. I mean, really the last couple months, but I've been on the subject alone for about 2 weeks leading up to this, and James been there the whole time with me, and we put so many hours and days into this boat, just trying to get everything perfect and think about what could go wrong, replace things like lines, or replace anything that might fail during this race. And I feel like we just put so much blood, sweat, and tears into this thing. It's tough to be in the back of the fleet right now, I'm not gonna lie. We're here, we're gonna have to keep on fighting, and we're gonna try to catch up to the fleet. I mean, I can see a lot of fleets still here on the horizon. It's not like I'm alone right now, but they're a little farther than what I was expecting going into this race right now. And it's tough. This boat's a 10-year-old boat. It's not a scow bow, so I'm not going to be as fast as those boats when I'm doing the close reaching. But there's no reason why I shouldn't be up there with some of the other older boats as well. No reason at all. But we're going to figure it out. Yeah, so let's talk about this start a little bit for the Mini Transat. We were supposed to start yesterday, September 24th. That's been the plan the whole time, except the weather did not cooperate out in the Atlantic off Cape Finisterre. So they ended up delaying the start initially for an unknown amount of time, but potentially 24 hours. And that's what it basically ended up being, was a 24-hour delay. So we started on Monday, the September 25th instead. And they made some changes. So originally they wanted to keep us on the outside of the Cape Finisterre TSS. So it's the northwest part of Spain as you go around there. And the reason for that was they wanted to keep us away from the coast of Spain and Portugal, to keep us a little bit farther away from some of the orca attacks. But putting us outside the TSS actually puts us closer to the bad weather with the big low pressure system moving in. So they delayed the start, and then now we have the option of going around either side of the TSS because the weather should be a little bit better. Instead of steady 40-45 knots, it's going to be closer to 25 knots. It was that wind plus the sea state. It was going to be 30 meter or over 10 foot seas. Seas will still be pretty high, but just not as much wind. But now we have the option to go on either side of the TSS off Cape Finisterre, as well as the one farther south in Portugal. But the difference is they gave us a waypoint in the Bay of Biscay that keeps us in the southern part of the Bay of Biscay, closer to Spain, the northern part of Spain. So if we weren't going towards this waypoint they gave us, I'd probably have the code 0 up and I'd be reaching out of the bay. But instead, I'm going on a close haul course, trying to make this one mark. And there's actually two marks that I'm trying to keep on starboard right now. One is a mark that's been a mark of the course this whole time, and that's about 30 miles after the start. We have to leave one set of marks to starboard. But this waypoint that they gave us, it's just a GPS waypoint to put in that we have to keep to starboard as well. And that's farther down the Bay of Biscay. So that's kind of the direction we're aiming towards. And because of that, you're pretty limited in where you can go right now, because you have to keep both those marks to starboard. And the wind is just to the left of those marks. So I'm on a close haul course, I can't go any farther left. And I'm actually not even making this first waypoint right now. So in 15-20 miles I might have to tack just to get around it. But again, the wind can shift also. Who knows what's going to happen right now. So we're all basically going in the same general direction, just the boats are spread out laterally a little bit based off of different boats' performance angles and who can fly code 0 closer and who can. And yeah, I wish I could fly my code 0 at a really close wind angle like some of these other boats, but I can't, and I just gotta sail my upwind course with the jib and then wait for the wind to shift around, and when we start going downwind, I think the boat's gonna feel a lot better when I can put the spinnaker up. But until then, it's just gonna be a bit of a painful sail. It's the morning of day 2 in the Mini Transat 2023. We're out here in the Bay of Biscay on terminal leave, and all morning it's been blowing about 10 to 12 knots, been on a close reach with the code 0 up, a reef in the jib, and doing pretty well. Going about 6.5 knots, and it's a much better change from the light wind we had all night long. Last night, went from the spinnaker, code 0, spinnaker, code 0, just upwind with just jib. So I had a little bit of downwind reaching and then upwind sailing, and just pretty light all around. So this is a much needed change. Broke the first thing on the boat today. this morning. One of our brand new struts that supports the bowsprit ended up bending, so not too happy about that. This is only the second time this has happened in 3 years, but I wasn't expecting it to happen on the second day out here. I had the code 0 up, we had a gust come in, and it just bent it over. I know the one way to change it is to bring out the bowsprit a little more. At the time, I had it at a decent enough angle, it should have been good, and I was down below when it happened, and I heard bang and went up on deck, and this just bent over and the bowsprit came flying around. So not too happy about that, but not the end of the world, because I did bring my original ones I had that I've used the past 2 years. So I put one of those in and got the code 0 back up, and we're good to go. You know, really slow start to the race, but last night I think I did a good job reeling some of the boats in that light air. This boat just I've been having a hard time on the close reaching compared to some of the other boats. So right now, even though we have good speed on this reach, I know we're not as fast as some of the scow bow boats that can have just all that sail area. But we're doing the best we can. I'm pushing the boat, pushing myself. We had a beautiful sunrise this morning, that was nice. Had a little breakfast, but we probably got about a dozen boats around us that I can see on AIS. So it's nice not being alone. I just can't see how the whole fleet's doing, because I can't see the tracker because we don't have any satellite communications out here. We'll get our first weather forecast out here today, this afternoon at 1500 UTC. We'll get that every day. But we're just cruising now. It's nice reaching with the code 0, reefing the jib, getting the boat powered up, and we're about 120 miles from a waypoint that we have to leave to starboard, which forces us down into the southern part of the Bay of Biscay, and that was just for the race organization to keep us away from the low pressure system that's farther northwest of us. Day 2 out here, plenty more days of racing to come. Evening of day 2 here on terminal leave in the Mini Transat, and we have no wind. It is light out, drifting, and wavy conditions out here, so the mast and the sails are going back and forth, and we got nothing. So I had a pretty good sail for most of the day, but then the last couple hours got really light, and absolutely nothing now.